The night Cleveland changed forever was colder than anyone could remember. Snow fell non-stop, covering the streets, the rooftops, and the old railroad yard near the edge of the city. The wind screamed between brick buildings, and even the streetlights looked tired under the heavy storm. When police cars arrived, their red and blue lights flashed across the snow like warning signs. Lying beside the railroad tracks was a body frozen so hard it looked carved from ice. The man's jacket was stiff, his skin pale, and his eyes were wide open, staring upward as if he had seen something terrifying in his final moment. Detective Marcus Hill stood behind the yellow tape, his breath slow and heavy. He had worked murders before, but something about this scene felt different. Too quiet. Too clean. The medical team found no blood, no clear wounds, and no signs of struggle. Even stranger, there were footprints leading toward the body, but none leading away. It was as if the person who placed him there had vanished into the air. Nearby, scratched into a frozen metal beam, officers discovered words that made the entire team fall silent: "The legend never left." The message spread through the department quickly, stirring up stories many had tried to forget. Decades earlier, Cleveland had been shaken by a terrifying rumor. During one of the coldest winters on record, a man suspected of murder disappeared during a blizzard before he could be arrested. His body was never found. Some believed he froze to death. Others believed he escaped. Over time, people claimed that whenever winter grew unusually cold, strange deaths followed. Most officers dismissed it as fear and imagination. But now, the message beside the frozen body seemed to bring the old story back to life. As Marcus reviewed the victim's identity, another strange detail emerged. The man had once been questioned in the original case years ago, but had never spoken publicly about it. That connection made Marcus uneasy. The city reacted fast. News vans filled the streets. Social media spread panic. Parents warned children not to walk alone. Old stories resurfaced online, mixed with new fear. That night, as snow continued to fall outside his office window, Marcus studied case files until his eyes burned. Near midnight, his phone rang. The number was blocked. When he answered, a low whisper came through the line, calm and cold. "You should have let it freeze." The call ended instantly. Marcus stared at the phone as a deep chill settled in his chest. Outside, the wind howled louder, and somewhere in the distance, a train horn echoed through the darkness. Morning brought no comfort to Cleveland. The sky remained gray, and the temperature dropped even further. The city moved slower, as if holding its breath. Marcus returned to the railroad yard with forensic teams, hoping to find new clues. But when they reached the site, the body was gone. In its place was a dark circle of melted ice steaming lightly in the freezing air. There were no drag marks. No tire tracks. Nothing that explained how a frozen corpse could disappear overnight. The discovery shook the department. Reports soon followed from different neighborhoods. People claimed they saw a tall figure near abandoned factories, standing still during heavy snowfall. Security cameras showed brief shadows, distorted by static, never clear enough to identify. Marcus followed one lead to an old steel plant near the river. Inside, the air was colder than outside, the walls coated in thick frost. His footsteps echoed loudly as he moved deeper into the building. On one frozen wall, he found another message carved into the metal: "The truth hides in the cold." Beneath it lay a notebook sealed inside ice. After hours of careful work, the book was opened. It belonged to a detective who had vanished years earlier while investigating the original legend. The final entry was short but terrifying. It read, "If you're reading this, I was right. He doesn't kill for revenge. He kills to be remembered." The words stayed in Marcus's mind as night fell again. On his drive home, snow began falling harder. His radio suddenly filled with static, cutting through the music. Then a familiar whisper came through the speakers. "You're part of it now." Marcus gripped the steering wheel as his headlights revealed a tall shape standing in the road ahead, motionless in the storm. He slammed the brakes. Just as the car stopped, the streetlights went dark all at once, plunging the block into blackness. For several seconds, there was nothing but silence and falling snow. When the lights returned, the figure was gone, but carved into the snow in front of his car were three words that made his blood run cold: "The legend lives." The words in the snow stayed in Marcus Hill's mind long after they melted away. "The legend lives" was not just a threat anymore. It was a message meant for him alone. By morning, Cleveland woke to another emergency. A construction worker had been found near the Cuyahoga River, unconscious but alive, his clothes frozen stiff and his hands wrapped tightly around an old police badge. When Marcus arrived at the hospital, doctors said the man kept repeating the same sentence before slipping into sleep. He walks where the cold is deepest. The badge belonged to Detective Raymond Cole, the same officer whose notebook had been found inside the ice. Cole had officially been declared dead 15 years earlier after vanishing during a winter storm. But now his badge had returned, carried by a man who claimed a shadow had placed it in his hands before disappearing into the snow. Marcus felt the case pulling tighter around him. He requested the full archived files from the original investigation. Boxes covered his office floor as he read through witness statements, maps, and old photographs. One pattern slowly became clear. Every strange death from the past happened near places connected to the city's underground steam tunnels, long-forgotten paths beneath Cleveland built decades ago to carry heat through downtown. Most were sealed off, but not all. The tunnels stayed warm while the city above froze, creating a dangerous contrast between heat and cold. It was the perfect place to hide, and the perfect place to move unseen. That night, Marcus returned to the railroad yard one more time. Snow covered everything again, clean and quiet. As he walked closer to the tracks, his flashlight flickered. Then it went out completely. The temperature dropped so fast his breath came out in thick clouds. From behind him, footsteps crunched slowly through the snow, not rushing, not hiding. Calm. Certain. Marcus turned and raised his weapon, his heart pounding. A figure stood several feet away, tall and dark, its face hidden beneath a hood rimmed with ice. The air around it felt heavier, colder. The figure spoke, its voice low and steady. They turned me into a story. You're here to turn me into truth. Before Marcus could respond, a deep rumble shook the ground. A freight train roared past, blasting snow into the air. When the noise faded, the figure was gone. In its place lay another object pressed into the snow, a key. Attached to it was a rusted metal tag marked with a number. Marcus recognized it instantly. It matched an entrance code for the sealed tunnel system beneath the city. Hours later, surrounded by backup officers, Marcus descended underground. The tunnel walls dripped with moisture, and warm air mixed strangely with freezing drafts. Far ahead, a faint light flickered. As they moved closer, they found a small room filled with newspaper clippings, photographs, and maps of Cleveland dating back decades. At the center stood a large board with red string connecting victims, witnesses, and police officers, including Marcus himself. Pinned at the top was a single phrase written in thick black ink: "A city needs a monster." Suddenly, the lights shut off. The temperature dropped sharply. Panic rippled through the team. Then a voice echoed through the tunnel system, calm and controlled. "You chase legends," it said. "But legends are built from silence." When the lights returned, one officer was gone. His radio crackled faintly somewhere deeper in the tunnels, playing nothing but slow breathing. The hunt had crossed a line. This was no longer about fear or rumor. Someone was actively shaping the city's nightmare, and they knew the system better than anyone alive. As Marcus followed the echoing radio signal into the darkness, he realized the truth was closer than he ever imagined. And once it surfaced, Cleveland would never be the same again. Chapter 4. The tunnel felt endless as Marcus Hill moved forward, following the weak crackle of the missing officer's radio. Every step echoed, bouncing off the curved walls like whispers. Water dripped from above, and warm air from the old steam lines mixed with sudden cold drafts that made his skin prickle. This place felt alive, like it was breathing. Marcus kept thinking about the words on the board upstairs: "A city needs a monster." Whoever was behind this did not see themselves as evil. They believed they were doing something important. The radio sound grew louder. At the next turn, Marcus found the officer sitting against the wall, shaking but alive. His eyes were wide with fear. He kept saying the same thing again and again. "He knows everything. He knows where we stand before we move." Medics rushed the officer away, but Marcus stayed behind. He knew the voice in the tunnels was watching him even now. As he walked deeper alone, memories from the old files returned. Detective Raymond Cole. The man who vanished 15 years ago. The officer many believed had died in the storm. Cole had been known as quiet, brilliant, and obsessed with justice. He believed criminals escaped punishment too easily. In his final report, written just days before he disappeared, he had warned that the city was rotting beneath its streets. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber lit by old hanging bulbs. At the center stood a man, older now, his hair gray, his coat worn thin. He did not run. He did not hide. He simply waited. I knew you'd figure it out, the man said. Marcus lowered his weapon slightly. Raymond Cole. Cole nodded. They made me a ghost. Then a legend. I just stepped into the role. Marcus demanded to know why. Why the fear? Why the frozen trails? Why innocent people had been pulled into it? Cole's voice trembled, not with anger, but with pain. He explained that years ago, he uncovered proof that powerful criminals were being protected, cases buried, evidence erased. When he tried to expose it, his own department turned on him. During the storm, he fled underground to survive. By the time he emerged, he was declared dead. And the city moved on. So I became what they couldn't erase, Cole said. A warning. Marcus shook his head. You scared the city. You hurt people. I saved more, Cole replied softly. Fear makes people talk. Legends make the guilty panic. Police sirens began echoing through the tunnels. The team was closing in. Cole smiled sadly. This is where the story ends. Before Marcus could stop him, Cole stepped backward onto a narrow ledge above a deep drainage channel. He raised his hands calmly as officers surrounded him. There was no fight. No chase. Just silence. When the sun rose over Cleveland that morning, the city learned the truth. The legend was real, but it was a man, not a monster. A broken detective shaped by betrayal and years of hiding in the cold. Raymond Cole was taken into custody. The tunnel room became evidence. The buried cases he collected reopened one by one. Some powerful names fell. Justice, slow but real, finally began to move. But even after everything, people still whispered on winter nights. When snow covered the streets and the wind howled between buildings, some swore they felt the cold deepen suddenly, as if the city remembered. Because legends don't always die. Sometimes, they stay frozen in memory. Snowflake hash.